Hey, welcome to a special edition of the Servant-Minded Leadership Channel. My name is John, and we are going to be talking today about change management. Now, this has become a hot button topic probably in the last 5 to 10 years, with a lot of people kind of trying to figure out, hey, how do we navigate change in the organization? It sometimes seems like change is inevitable, right? There's the saying that says that the only thing that doesn't change is change. But at the same time, it also seems like every time change is afoot, it's difficult. It's difficult to get people on board. It's difficult to navigate that and maybe maintain culture. And so today what I would like to do is I would like to take us through 6 steps. I would say there's 6 easy steps, but I don't know that any steps of change are necessarily easy. But I want to take us through 6 steps that I believe will help us to kind of navigate the path of change effectively. Hopefully this will help us to maintain positive culture aspects that we've developed in our organizations. And if there are any aspects of the culture that we're trying to change, this will make it, in theory, a little bit easier to navigate those changes, because unfortunately, even when the culture isn't good, even when we're trying to improve the culture, there will always be people that kind of cling to what is known. Now, that's the first thing I want to say. Before I get into the 6 steps, before we talk about strategy, we have to acknowledge, I don't know if it's the elephant in the room, but kind of the big challenge that we face as leaders and as organizations when we are trying to go through a change process. People don't like change. I don't care who you are. I don't care what you've been through. The human condition is such that we don't like change. And people that tell me that they do like change, I always counter with, well, what kind of change are you talking about? Because it's one thing to say, oh, I love change. I got a new car and it's a new change. We got a new house and it's a change. I love change. It's so exciting. Come back to me when your company just got bought out and you're not sure where your job stands. Come back to me when you're getting ready to get a new supervisor and you've heard rumors, but you're not really sure what that means. Come back to me when your coworker quits and you now know that sometime in the near future you're going to be working with someone brand new and you have no idea if you guys are going to get along, if there's going to be synchronicity, compatibility, all of that. No, we don't like change. Why? Because change forces us to recognize what we all intellectually know but emotionally struggle to internalize, and that is that we are not in control of a lot of circumstances. And so when change is afoot, people will literally fight. Even the best change, people will fight it just because it's not what they know. And you're thinking, come on, John, I want to do good things. I'm trying to bring life and vitality to my organization. Sure. Have you ever heard the phrase, the evil you know is better than the evil you don't? That's like a deep-rooted concern or really kind of a deep-rooted perspective in the lives of most human beings. Now, there are some of us, some who really feel like, you know what, change is good and I'm just going to kind of navigate it. I'm going to surf the different tides of change and it's all going to work out. And that's amazing. If you're at that place mentally, I love that. But I also know it's a discipline, because I know it's a discipline in my life. And so it's going to be a discipline in yours as well. But change still isn't easy. And so how can we help our organizations navigate this thing called change in a way that hopefully doesn't destroy our team, but rather infuses it with life, and the change is used to build our organization up, not tear it down? The first step number 1 in change management is cast vision. Cast vision. Verbally share the new direction that you want to see the organization go. Let me tell you, one of the scariest parts about change is that unknown. I just said a second ago that deep-rooted perspective of the evil you know is better than the evil you don't. Now, casting that vision is not going to eliminate that they don't know every detail. In fact, you might not know every detail. But the more you can share with your people, the better you are at relating what we're trying to achieve, the easier it will be for them to buy into that vision, and especially if it's a vision that they like. Now, you have to be ready. One of the reasons that many leaders don't cast the vision is because they know that their staff is not going to be on board. And so they say, I'm not going to say anything. We're going to make these changes little by little. Well, they'll deal with them because I know that if I go tell them what's really going on, they're all going to quit. And so, first of all, I would say, of course, use wisdom. But secondly, if you know that the change you're getting ready to implement is going to result in mass dissatisfaction, I really hope that you are 100% certain that it is absolutely necessary. The amount of cultural impact of widely disliked change is almost never sustainable. And what often happens is the vision is cast, or it's not, but the change is in motion, and within a matter of months you end up having to revert, and it muddles everything up because there was no clear direction, and people put up some resistance, and you're like, oh, whoa, okay, I didn't realize it was going to be that bad. And so kind of having a heart of integrity and the ability to say, hey guys, listen, this is going to be uncomfortable, but as a leader that loves, as a leader that wants your best interest, that's serving the entire team, I need you to believe that I'm doing what I feel is best. And hopefully you are. If you're not, it's probably a whole different conversation. All right, so we've cast vision. We've said, hey guys, here's what we're trying to accomplish. This is our end goal. This is the vision that I have. This is what that vision looks like in the end. It's not enough to just talk about it though. We got to be about it. So step number 2, implement that vision. Act on it with ruthless resolve. And again, when I say ruthless, I don't mean steamrolling people, but whether people are coming against it, whether people are talking about it in a negative sense, keep going. No matter how much people come against it, continue to personally function within the boundaries of the culture you're trying to create. Now, this is a very finicky subject. When I say ruthlessly implement, make it happen, this is contingent on the idea that what you're attempting to do is for the betterment of the organization. This can be difficult. What's the difference between the great change that people are just set in their ways and come against, and the not great change that people who can see the end result are going to say, hey, this isn't going to work? As a general rule, one of the easiest and fastest ways to know if your change is serving the overall success of the organization is to check and see what is happening with your top performers. If your top performers have just gone silent, not a good sign about your culture. Bring them in, get some feedback. Of course, you should have gotten feedback before you implemented the change, but maybe the change process isn't moving as you would have thought. If it is, you've cast your vision, you've moved forward, and this is very important. When you're moving forward, I said ruthless, I want to also say consistent. It's very important that the team as a whole, the organization as a whole, recognizes that you are sold out, you are bought in, you are ready to go, and you're personally going to be making all of these changes, because if you can't stay consistent, no one else is. Come on, seriously? Like, you have to be willing to go through what it's going to take. And I think a lot of parenting when I think of this concept of really being consistent. If you've been a parent for very long, and maybe especially of maybe a preteen or a teenager, you know that one of the most destructive things that you can do is either make a promise, or in some cases a threat, and then not follow up on it. Why? It ruins your credibility. And if you say, no, you're not permitted to go do that thing or be a part of that activity, but then it's kind of inconvenient for you. And so it's like, you know what? I got some stuff going on, so I guess just go do it. Well, what you've done is you have demonstrated in that moment that you're not actually committed to the success of what that paradigm, that boundary, whatever it was designed to accomplish. So in leadership, it's the same thing. No, you're not parenting your people, but the principle remains that if you can't remain dedicated and consistent and focused, if I have no ability to say, hey, here's the vision and I'm gonna move to get to that vision, my people are never gonna get on board. So step number 1, cast vision. Step number 2, implement the vision. Step number 3, empower the vision. Empower, create training and provide exercises that empower others to see the way that you are engaging and desire to be change champions. You're always going to want to find people who are quickly bought in. We call them early adopters. But early adopters come much more abundantly when there's effective empowerment. No one wants to be an early adopter and feel stranded on the island. And so provide engaging and dynamic training. Maybe you're coming in and you're saying, guys, we're going to get a new leadership program, all right? We've been hiring kind of based on who was up next, and maybe you wanted the position, maybe you didn't. And so listen, we're gonna do some leadership development. We're gonna bring somebody in, and we're gonna have an event, and then we're gonna follow that up with some assessments, and then we're gonna do some one-on-one coaching. People are like, uh-oh, this isn't good. Consultants usually mean people are getting fired. Assessments, that's scary. Oh, and you're like, no, I'm walking this. Look, we're gonna start. You're gonna assess me. And so you step up and you're really implementing and you're bought in and you're saying, hey guys, this is what's good for the goose is good for the gander, right? So you have yourself assessed, and then you provide resources. And you find some of those leaders that you know are pro-effective leadership. And you say, hey guys, listen, we're gonna be running some training. Are you interested? And let them get on board. Let them get excited. Let them see the materials, meet the consultant or trainer or whoever it is, and let them advocate for it. I think of one situation where I was working with an organization, and they kind of flipped this a little bit, all right? They had good heart. They wanted to implement training and change management specifically for their leaders, but they wanted it so bad they made it mandatory. Now in this particular case, it didn't backfire horribly, but you certainly had people in the group that didn't want to be there, weren't interested, weren't really sure what this whole thing was about, and quite frankly, the only reason they were there is because they were told they had to be. But then the organization said, well, wait a minute. What if we deviate? What if we offer the same training, but this time, make it an elective and make it open to anyone? Now, in this particular case, what they chose to do is they said, you know what, we're going to make this training a requirement for certain positions, but nobody has to take the training. So if you want to be eligible to promote to a certain level within the organization, you have to go through this certification course. Perfect, not a problem. But something that I noticed was that when the organization shifted and made it voluntary, the participation, the buy-in, the change champions skyrocketed. Why? Because they believed in it. They believed in what was happening. And the good news is that the organization was able to kind of redeem that first set of training by finding the few that really enjoyed it and getting them out there and saying, hey, what did you think? Would you mind telling your colleagues about your experience? So empower that vision, and because you're implementing it, you're living it out, and now you found other people to, and you're giving them the tools to succeed. Maybe it has nothing to do with leadership development. Maybe you're changing to a new software. Maybe you're converting from a set of goal systems to a different one. Same thing. Verbally tell them what's expected. Buy in yourself so that you're an example. and then provide empowerment. Think of another scenario that I witnessed where they were going to be changing the way that they did their quarterly goals. They were going to be using a fairly popular method. And so when the CEO found out about it, he said, you know what, I really like this idea. I want to learn more. Now, he did it perfectly, really. First, he read the book. He learned as much as he could. And then he came back and he said, hey guys, I like this layout. I want to use it. I want to use it effectively. Here's how we get to there. Here's where we are. Here's how we're getting there. Now, not everybody bought in. In fact, there were some people saying, yeah, we've been doing it the way we've been doing it. It's been working pretty good. So we think we'll just kind of hang out. But he kept pushing and he kept asking questions and he kept trying to focus in on it. And then he said, hey, you know what? Maybe it's not enough for me to just tell you about this. Maybe you'd like to read the book so you can actually catch the vision as well. And you know what he did? He said, anybody that can't afford to buy the book, expense it. I will pay for that because I want to make sure you have the tools that you need. And that's a great example of really having full buy-in, being an example, and then also empowering. So first we've cast the vision, then we've implemented the vision, then we've empowered the vision. Next, at some point, you're going to have to simply enforce the vision. This is kind of a two-sided approach, all right? On the one side, the fun side, you get to reward those who have bought in. You get to, whether that's just a verbal acknowledgement, thanking them for their participation and acknowledging the work or the transition they've made, or maybe it's a real reward. It's a gift card. It's a bonus. It's something tangible and something that people are going to look around and be like, oh man, if I had realized that I was going to get that, man, I would have bought in a long time ago. But unfortunately, there's also the other side of that coin. People that refuse to get on board are going to have to understand that the team is moving in a specific direction, and that direction has been cast, the vision has been cast, it's been modeled by the leader, it's been empowered in the organization, and now they have a choice. Do they want to be a part of a team that is moving forward in this way, or do they want to find a team that is not? Now, that sounds harsh, and I do not like the idea that when an organization makes a massive change, we just wipe out anybody that's not on board. That should be done cautiously. That should be done with a lot of tenderness and compassion. These are people. They're feeding their families. At the same time, allowing even one toxic person to remain in an organization can be cancerous to the overall impact and effective ability to make the change that's necessary. All it takes is that one person that can't avoid saying, you know, I really don't like all these changes. I sure wish it'd go back the way it was. To get other members of the team going, yeah, you know what? I've been having to do a lot more work since this started. Yeah, and didn't they say that this was gonna come with some sort of a stipend? Like, whatever it is. And so it is important, both sides of that reward factor. The vision must be enforced. There has to be an intrinsic understanding of the value of the change. Now you're noticing this is kind of a big deal, right? I mean, this is not just a, hey guys, so listen, we're gonna get a new snack machine in the break room. I mean, that could be a big deal in some organizations, but I wanna say that when we're talking about allowing people to no longer be part of the team. One of my colleagues likes to say, releasing their talent to the market. I hope the change is worth it, right? You don't want to destroy your team. You don't want to be kicking people off the team. But if you believe this is the direction that needs to be taken, then you believe it. And people that don't believe it are unable to go that same direction. I used to say in a class that I taught, if I am going to San Francisco and you are going to New York, we cannot travel in the same car. They're going different directions. They're opposite directions from one another. Now you might say, well, we could go to San Francisco and then New York, or New York and then San Francisco, and that's absolutely true. But the difference is that if I believe New York is where we need to go, and that's the direction that we're headed, and you're going, no, San Francisco is the direction we need to go. That's the direction we're headed. that we're going to be at an impasse unless one of us is willing to lay down our belief and get on board. And so if you have done your due diligence and you have understood the direction that the company or the organization needs to go, you've cast that vision, you've implemented the vision, you've empowered the vision, you have to enforce it. And you have to say, no, we're not going to San Francisco. And if you want to, you're welcome to go that direction. But you can't do it on this team. You can't do it in this car. You can't do it with these resources. You're going to have to do that. And we support you. We want you to pursue your bliss. We want you to do what you feel is right. But you're not going to be able to go that direction while remaining a part of the team, because you're going to be dragging the team down and others with you. So we've cast the vision. We have implemented the vision. We've empowered the vision. We've enforced the vision. And now we need to coach the vision. Now, what's the difference between empowering the vision and coaching the vision? This is where the long term comes in. Okay? Empowering is the initial training. It's the resources. It's what's necessary to get it going. But the coaching is the day-by-day task of helping those who may be having a more difficult time but want to assimilate to the vision, and providing direct coaching that helps them. And this is a step that may help with step 4, because through that coaching process, one of two things will happen. Either they will assimilate or they will evacuate. Those are the only two options. The coaching will demonstrate a buy-in and an investment and an empowerment and an enforcing that will all kind of come together in an idea that is manifest as we believe in this so much that we are willing and ready to dedicate specific resources to your success in this new paradigm. So that's your option, right? If you can't assimilate, you're going to evacuate, because you're going to feel deeply uncomfortable in this new paradigm where someone is actively seeking your success and they're looking to help you achieve in this new paradigm. And if you're like, okay, this is not for me, this is not what I want, you're going to say thanks, but no thanks. It's that simple. Coaching is it's not designed to run people off, but it is the active manifestation of believing that our people deserve everything they need to succeed in the context of the organization that we are building. And then, once we've done all this, a lot of this is really going to fall squarely on the shoulders of the leader. They've cast the vision. They've spoken it out loud. They've implemented, starting with themselves, saying, look, I'm willing to do this and I'm buying in. They've empowered it by providing initial training, a seminar, or something. They've enforced it, making sure people know this is the way this is going to go. They've coached those who may be struggling or who desire a little bit of extra help. And then finally, they get to delegate that vision. Now, this is a very, very important step, because leaders who never delegate the vision run into one of two, I don't call them challenges, but they're actually going to wreck the culture. So the first thing that's going to happen is if you never delegate the vision, you have to be prepared to stay on top of this change forever. So anytime there's a deviation, anytime someone gets off the SOP, anytime somebody says, I'll go back to the way I was doing it before, you have to actively be involved. And honestly, as a leader, you should not be micromanaging to that effect, all right? Casting the vision and implementing, empowering, enforcing, coaching, yes, but then delegating that to others has to be a part of the process. If it is not, man, that's gonna take up a lot of your time. The second possibility is you don't have the time. And for the record, you don't. You've got meetings, you've got clients, you've got investors, you've got different things going on. You can't micromanage change. And so what's going to happen? If you don't effectively delegate that change to the next level of leaders, or maybe even a couple levels down, things are eventually just going to go back to the way they were. People are going to go back to what was comfortable, and they're going to kind of slouch down and just kind of do what they've always done. And that, I hope, is also not an option. After all, you've invested, you've cast a vision, and you've implemented it in yourself, and you've empowered it, and you've enforced it, and you have coached it. Man, wouldn't it stink if after all of that, you look back in 6 months and go, whatever happened to all of that effort we were making? You have to delegate. You have to make sure that others have taken up the flag, have taken the baton, have continued to press forward. Those early adopters are usually some of the best people, but it's very interesting. Let me give you just a small experiential nugget. Here's what you're probably going to find, especially on the most, I'll call them the most significant changes. So most organizations have multiple levels, right? You've got the C-suite, you've got the executive level, you got middle management, and you have workers. And there's any number of levels within each of those. Here's what I usually find. The C-suite, or potentially HR, is the one that's driving the change. They're the ones that are saying, hey, we got to make this happen, let's go, we can do this, and they're trying to cast the vision and implement it and empower it and enforce it and coach it and all that stuff, okay? And they're trying to make it happen. And they expect that the next level down is going to be the advocates that carry the mission on. And so if it's the C-suite, they're expecting that the kind of the executive level is going to do it. And if it's the HR, they're probably expecting that the manager or the middle management level is going to do it. And what I've found is almost always it's a lower level, like literally one lower level, just one underneath. So if we're expecting the executives, it's probably going to be the middle management. If we're expecting the middle management, it's probably going to be the actual frontline team members or maybe even frontline leaders. And so why does that happen? Well, that happens because often they are closer to the problem that's being fixed, and they're more likely to say, you know what, I'm willing to try something new. It can't be any worse than what we're dealing with. Meanwhile, the people that are a little higher in the organization, they got two things going against them. Number one, they're comfortable. They've been in the organization longer. They like the way it's been. It's the evil they know, if nothing else. So they're comfortable. And comfortable people don't like to make changes. The second thing, though, is depending on how long they've been, this is especially true at the executive level, they might be the one that personally advocated or helped to facilitate the original paradigm. They're not going to let go of that loosely. They're not going to just easily, whatever. I worked really hard to get that set up. No worries, let's just change it. No, they're going to actively fight to maintain what they genuinely believe is best for the organization. And so often those change champions, those people that you're going to be able to count on to delegate the vision, you're going to have to go one level lower, maybe even two levels lower, but you have to go a little lower. And then you're going to have to empower those individuals, and that could function as your reward system. That those who are quick to jump on board and who are quick to really buy into this new process, well, they find that all of a sudden they have a much more influential role in the organization because you can trust that they are going to execute on this new vision. Now again, change management is messy. It really is. These are six, I don't even want to use the word simple, but they're 6 simple steps. But my goodness, are they difficult. Casting the vision, just articulating what is it that we want to accomplish, implementing it. It's going to start with me. We're going to make this happen. And then I'm going to empower it. I'm going to make sure people have the training and the resources they need so that they have the ability to implement it and get on board. Then we're going to enforce it. We're going to make sure that people know this is the way it's going to be done. And I don't mean to be rude, I don't mean to be crass, but you can get on board or you can get out. Those are the options. If you're willing to get on board but you're struggling, no worries, I got you. We're going to coach you up. We're going to dedicate resources to your success. And then, as a leader, I'm going to delegate the whole paradigm to others that I can trust to carry on the movement and create the legacy of a better culture, a more effective organization, and an overall legacy of a wonderful place to work. I hope this has been helpful. It's one of my longer videos for you. Hope this has been a helpful experience for you. I'm looking forward to hearing from you. Feel free to leave a comment in the comments section if you have maybe your own experience you'd like to share. If you disagree with any of these points, I am so open to feedback, and maybe somebody that's like, you know what, John, that all sounds good, but no, that I tried that. That sucks. Share with us what you've gone through. Hey, the opportunity to dialogue helps us all get better. And sometimes I learn more from comment sections on these videos than I do from the actual videos themselves. So feel free to share. Also, if you are not subscribed to this channel, I would invite you to do so. The Servant-Minded Leadership channel, we put out videos at least twice a week. One that's usually 2 to 4 minutes, one that's about 30 to 45 seconds. And then every once in a while, we put something out like this, as well as some quarterly kind of webinar events. And we're just trying to empower leaders. Why? Well, our mission at the Servant-Minded Leadership channel is to empower leaders to change the world.